Okay. Hey everyone. Yeah, we do have a lot of stuff to get to today. So uh but if you do have questions, always feel free to ask. I don't want anyone to feel lost. I don't want to feel anyone to ever feel behind. Drop a question in the chat or just, raise your hand or interrupt me. When I say raise your hand, there's a button on here where you can raise your hand. If you click on React at the bottom and then click raise hand, you can see my hand is up now on my screen. Another way to, and I can lower my hand. Uh, Another way to ask questions if you don't feel like, jumping in or it's something you can't ask in chat. Um, cool. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show. That's this one. Whoops, sorry about that. Hold on. So I have gone through and graded most of what you guys have turned in. I still need to grade like who's joined Remind in the survey and stuff. Um, so don't freak out if you're like, hey, I turned this in and it's not graded yet. That's okay. Um, if you uh, turned it in late, I will usually mark 1 point off for each day that it's late. So I know some people, we all have jobs, we all have families and such. If you need extra time, that's okay. But it is very easy to get behind in this class. I don't know. We've already gone through all the chapter two material. Uh, we've already gone through half of chapter three. So today is day four. I know day three, we didn't really have class on day three, but we're going to call this day four. Um, so in day four, we have, um, let me go to the student view because this is not all of it. We have two projects today, chapter two, project four, chapter two, project five. We also are going to do the chapter two review worksheet. And then you also need to, uh, before Thursday, or sorry, not before Thursday, before Monday, you need to watch 3.4 and 3.5 lecture notes. We have it combined as a single assignment, so you can submit it as just one thing. You don't have to watch 3.4, turn in the notes, 3.5, turn in the notes. Um, but you do need to watch both of them. If you click on this, all the videos are there. So I said you need to have that done by Monday, June 2nd. It'd be really great if you have it done by tomorrow because Elaine is going to be using some of this material from 3.4 and 3.5 for worksheets in Thursday's class. Let me click view student. So since you're here today, good news, you don't have to do the participation. You get your participation points for the week. We didn't have class on Mondays, but you're here today, so good job. If you miss this class and you're watching it on the recording, then you'll need to go into the participation board for week two. Click on that, and you're going to fill out a discussion board for your participation points for this week. Same thing for all of the weeks. If you miss both the Monday and the Wednesday class, then you'll need to do the participation board to get your points. Okay. All right. So as I said, day four, we got a lot to do today. We've got two projects and a chapter review. Um, your lecture notes aren't quite as big, right? Um, so uh, just this one assignment here. So we have a question in the chat. Yeah, so should we be working ahead? So should we start working on the lecture notes from day five? Because day five, we're going to start into chapter four. You can always work ahead in this class. You can work at your own pace, which is the nice thing about an online class. I'm not doing the teaching, right? You're going and you're seeing the lectures and you can do those on your own time. And there might be weeks where you're like, man, this is going to be a really busy week coming up in, July, like, or I've got, 4th of July plans. So if you know that, you can absolutely work ahead a week or even more if you want. The due dates on here, that's when it's due and needs to be turned in. That's the has to be done by then. But can I do it early? Absolutely. I could go through and I could work on everything except the midterm and the final, right? The midterm and the final have to happen on those days. Okay. Um, but everything else, you're welcome to work ahead and uh, you watch the lecture, you'll know the material. Okay. And then you can come to class with the projects and I'll be working through the projects with you and you can even get those done early and then come to class and see where you might have messed up and get those fixed. So, um, yeah. If you do turn it in late, as I mentioned, I'll take 1 point off for each day that it's late. So that's also fine, but you need to be careful because it is very easy to fall behind in this class, right? As I said, we've got a lot to cover. We've already gone through all of chapter 2 and most of chapter 3, and we're just booking, right? We're moving. We're going through this material very fast. Um, and so not only that, it's math. It's hard, right? I don't know if you guys are all like math experts. You love math, but like it is easy to fall behind. And if you are trying to catch up, like that's not the place you want to be. So yes, please feel free to work ahead. Um, keep in mind, though, like as you're doing this class, like keep in mind why you're here, right? You are here. You have a goal, right? You want to pass this class because I need it for I need it for my training. I need it for my certification. I need it for my degree. I need it because I'm going to transfer it to a 4-year college. Like nobody's here because they're like, this sounds like a fun class. I mean, maybe you are, and maybe you're here like, oh, I love math. I want to learn some statistics, and that's your goal, right? So, if that's the case, like, don't just like set this aside and be like, this, I'll get to this when I get to this, okay? Because, like I said, it's easy to fall behind. Okay. Anyway, so for day 4, we're going to start with Chapter 2, Project 4, and I'm going to click on that. And just like the previous projects, you're not going to find this in the course pack. The projects are all going to have a link to a Google Doc. So there's also a video here where you can work on it if you don't like my explanation. But we're going to click on the link that says document with instructions is here. Now this is just the instructions. Um, this is what we need to do. But this is not where the actual information is. There's another link, that's this one, that'll take you to a copy of the Google spreadsheet. Okay, so I'll click on that guy, and that's going to take me here. Now, this looks very familiar. This is very similar to what we did for Chapter 2, Project 3. We're going to do this a lot. Okay, we're actually going to do this a couple times today. Chapter 2, most of the Chapter 2 projects are about, uh, relative frequency, cumulative frequency. How do we calculate those things? Okay. So we're going to practice. Okay. So if you felt like you were just barely keeping up when I was going through Chapter 2, Project 3, you're like, I don't understand what's going on. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep doing them. Okay. So by the end, you'll be an expert. Okay. But this is not mine. This is not yours. This is we need to go to File, make a copy. Okay. I would love for your copy to have your name in it, if possible. Again, it's not necessary, but if you need to specify which folder it needs to go in, you select My Drive. Uh, most of the time you shouldn't need to do that. You can just click make a copy and then click make a copy. Okay. So once you've made a copy, it's going to open a new one for you. Here, there you go. So now that you've made a copy, you can edit this one. Okay. So we're going to start with the uh, class midpoints. Now, one thing I want to mention is in the previous project, I forgot that we needed to make a graph. We're not going to forget this time, so I didn't take off any points if you didn't do the graph. But I'm saying it now to remind my own self that I need to make a graph when we're done. That was one of the steps in the instructions here. Step 4, make a column chart. Okay, forgot about that. All right, but we're going to start with the class midpoints. So let me grab my notes here. And um, yeah, so uh, the we'll start with the foundation midpoint, right? So that is the first one. Okay, so the foundational midpoint is going to be parenthesis, your lower limit of the class, plus the next lower limit, and then you divide by 2. So you're basically taking an average, okay? So in our project, we can do this first one because it has a lower limit. I don't know if you remember last time we did a similar project like this. It said any number from 35 or below, and that doesn't really have a lower limit. So this one does. So we're going to use this one. So we're going to do equals, open our parenthesis, 10, because that's the lower limit, right? And then if we do plus, what's the next lower limit? 15, that's right. So it's the next class down. Good. Close my parenthesis. And then the divide, and then 2. Okay. And then I'll hit enter, 12.5. Okay. So that means that the numbers right in the middle between 10 and 14.9 is 12.5. By the way, this right here is not just the numbers from 10 to 14, because what if I'm 14 and a half? What if I'm 14.7, right? Am I in this group or am I in this next group? And the answer is I'm going to be in this first group. So even though it says 14, it's actually everything up to 14.99999. Okay. Sometimes we won't use decimals, okay, because decimals are confusing and annoying. Um, but you can have an age that's a decimal number, right? I can be 14.5 years old, okay? Um, so yeah, so just keep that in mind. So it's okay if you have a decimal here. Now that's the foundational midpoint. I'm not going to do that for every single one of these. That would not be fun. Okay. So instead, we're going to get our class width next, which is down here. Okay. So our class width is going to be equal to the next lower limit minus our current lower limit. Okay, so I'll say this lower limit. Okay. So basically, I'm using the same numbers. I'm using this lower limit and the next lower limit, but instead of adding them, I'm going to subtract them. Okay, and that'll give me my class width. So let's jump back over here. So it's going to be equals 15 minus 10. I'm using the same ones. So this is 10, this is 15. Now I just didn't do it in the other order, right? I didn't do 10 minus 15. That would give me a negative number, right? So class width in this case is 5. Okay. So uh, it's not 14 minus 10 because 14 minus 10 gives you 4, right? So isn't the width 4? No, it's not because use it. Let's count it on our fingers. How many numbers are there from 10 to 14? There's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 5 numbers. Okay. Even though 14 minus 10 is 4, there are 5 numbers between there. And that's because we're doing inclusive. Um, this is known in math as the fence post problem. I don't if that's not in the notes or anything, but if I'm a farmer And let's say I want to make a fence that's 5 feet long and I want to put one post at every foot. How many posts do I need for my 5 foot long fence? I'm asking you guys, what's the answer? If I want to put a post every foot for a 5 foot long fence, that's right. Laura's got it. You need 6 posts. Wait, but it's 5 feet and I want it one every foot. Well, you have to have one at both ends, right? So I need to include the ends, okay? So I need to include a fence post at the 0 mark, okay? So anytime you're doing inclusive subtraction, you have to add one. It's a fence post problem. Drives me nuts. But if you just remember, the formula that we wrote down here, next lower limit minus this lower limit, you're good to go, okay? Because really, it's not 14 minus 10. It's 14.999999, as we said earlier, minus 10. So that would be, 4.99999, which is rounded to 5. So, all right, now that we've got our class width, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the rest of the midpoints. Okay, we did our foundational midpoint. The rest of the midpoints, gonna give myself some space here, equals the it's going to be equal to the previous midpoint plus the class width, which we just calculated. Okay. Now for this previous midpoint, I want the cell. Okay. What I mean by that is, when I go over here, I don't want to do equals 12.5 plus my width. I want to actually click on cell B2. So I'm going to do equals B2 plus my class width, which in this case is 5. Okay. Because if I typed in 12.5 here in my formula bar, when I copy that formula to the next one, it's just going to keep doing 12.5. I want to use the cell reference, which is B2. Okay. So I'll actually write that in my notes here. So for this particular example, it was B2 plus 5. Okay. Obviously, it's going to be different depending on the project you're looking at, but this is just an example. So of the way we want to do it. Okay. If you want to be really awesome, okay, you don't need to do this, but you could, instead of using 5, you could do a cell reference here. But remember, when we copy our formula down, it's going to shift these formula cells down one at a time. So we would actually need to have $signs in front of that. So you don't need to do that though. Okay. That's if you want to be fancy. Okay. You can just put 5 here. And that's because that 5's not going to change. Our class width's going to be the same for everything. So now I'm going to Control C, copy that, and then I can highlight the blank cells here and Control V, okay, because that'll paste it. You could also click on the formula you want to copy, put your little cursor, put your mouse in the lower right-hand corner until it turns into a plus, and then click and drag it down and cover all of those blank cells there. Okay. And there's all of our class widths. Okay. Cool, cool. Uh, Hopefully you're not bored. We did this before. So if you're like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this, you're good. Okay. But we're gonna keep practicing this. Okay. Next is the total. Okay. This one's pretty easy. We're just adding up these frequencies here. If I hit equals, Google Sheets is like, hey, do you want to add these up? Yes, I do, Google Sheets. So I will hit tab to use the formula that they gave me, which is sum all of those up. 533. Now, this is one annoying thing that drives me nuts is I can't tell right away glancing at this is if this is 5 million or if this is 53,000. So I like to have commas on anything that's over 1,000. This is not required. I will not take points off, but if you highlight column C, okay, and right click on it. Oh, where is it in Google Sheets? In Excel, it's easy to find. Okay, we want to format this, so not conditional formatting. Okay, all right, so go back to click on column C and click format at the top. Format that as a number. So see right here, number. Now there's lots of ways you can do numbers, percents, scientific, accounting. Just do number, okay? And I don't want decimals, so I'm going to use this little decreased decimal thing, okay? All I really wanted was the comma there, okay? As I said, it's not required, but if you're making spreadsheets in real life and you're actually presenting them to anyone other than yourself, being able to read this is much easier with the comma because I can look at it and say, oh, it's 533,000. Okay. As opposed to counting my digits, is it 5 million? Yeah. Um, all right, but I digress. All right, moving on. Relative frequency. Relative frequency was a decimal, okay, or a percent. So to do this one, uh, let's write down on our formula relative frequency. I'll just do freak. Relative freak equals, so it's going to be the frequency. And again, I want to use the cell reference for that, okay? Relative frequency divided by the total, okay? Now, if you're doing this in Google Sheets or in Excel, we're going to do dollar sign around those numbers, just so that when I calculate it, and I can copy that formula. Okay. Now, uh, since the total is not going to change, okay, if I do, so I'm going to do equals, click on my frequency right here, which is cell C2, divided by, and I'll click on this one down here, but I'm not going to do it as C14. I'm going to do it as $C, $14. So what I did is uh I clicked on the cell, but then I clicked on the formula so that I could enter in $C, $14. Okay. Now, and then I hit enter. Google Sheets again is trying to be really smart. Do I want that? Yeah, I'll hit the check mark. That looks fine. Okay. I don't need this one down here, but you can leave it if you want. As I said, since the denominator doesn't change, if you don't want to do $C, $14, you could just do 533,453. That's fine. Okay. And then copy that formula down. Okay. Can I do the formula again? Absolutely. So let me get rid of all these. So I'm gonna do equals, click on cell C2, divided by, I'm going to click on my total, but I don't want cell C14. I want $C, $14. So I'm going to click on my formula up here. I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of my C, and then I'm going to click right there, dollar sign in front of my 14.
What what does the dollar sign mean as a command? Is that similar to Excel? Does Excel use that too?
Let me try
Depends,
some.
yeah.
I'm number 30. I'm getting there.
What were you saying, Katie?
I think she might be at work.
Okay. Elaine, was that a question for the students or for me?
Yeah, both kind of. Just yep.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
just as a command. Like you're
yeah.
telling it.
You're telling it, so the dollar sign is telling it when I copy this formula down, do not change the column and do not change the row. But in the numerator, you'll notice that if I click on one of these down here, it's not cell C2 anymore, it's cell C6. And that's because as you copy the formula down, it's going to move where you're referencing as you go. But the dollar sign says don't move it as I copy the formula. Um, if you're getting an error, oh, never mind. But if you're getting an error, can you screenshot at that error for me real quick so I can see what's going on? Uh, as I said, you don't have to do the dollar C, $14. You could just type 533,453 in the
Okay.
denominator since it doesn't change. Okay. Um, okay, but the numerator though does change, so I do need it as a cell reference. So I do need it as C2. Okay. There's way too many decimals here, way too many digits. So I'm going to use the decrease decimal until I have three digits after the decimal. Okay. Uh, or if you want to be fancy, you could do format again and then click number and do a percent. Okay. Because that's easier to read in my opinion. So I still don't want four digits. So 15.87 is still too many digits. 15.9%. Basically, if you have three digits, that's enough precision. Okay, we're not talking about significant figures. It's not science, but
And it's
um
nice it still adds up to 100
yes.
just with
Yeah,
that many digits.
absolutely. So if you want to leave it as a number, if you want to leave it as a number, that's fine. It's just harder to read this as 0.159. Is that high? Is that low? I don't know. But if I say 15%, most people understand percents pretty well. Okay. 15%. Oh, okay. That's not too big. Um, Either way is fine. Okay, so uh yeah, you can give me the formula. Can I give you the formula to find the total? Mine didn't. Oh, okay. So, formula for the total, I'll drop it in the chat here, is this guy. Yeah, if you're working in Excel, it's not going to give you the formula. Um, Google, tries to fill things in for you. So yeah. So there's the sum. Cumulative frequency. So, cumulative frequency is going to be um the same as the frequency. So it's not a decimal. These are whole numbers. Okay. Um, but it's going to be adding them up as we go. Okay. So the first one for cumulative frequency is just going to be cell C2. Okay. And again, you could just type 2358. Okay. Because otherwise Google is going to try to be like smart and be like, oh, you want to use this, right? No, not this time. Okay. So I'll highlight these. You don't need to highlight them, but these two should be the same. Okay. Those two should be the same number. Okay. So the first one, you're just going to copy that number over. Okay. The next one though is you want to take the previous sum, which is this guy, plus the new one. Okay. So go to cell E3 and we're going to hit equals and we're going to click on cell C3 plus E2. Okay. So equals C3 plus E2. So how do we want to write this? It's going to be, so cumulative frequency. Okay. All right. So I'm going to write first one, copy frequency. Okay. But then after that, it's going to be uh, frequency plus previous cumulative frequency. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Uh, so uh, C3 is my frequency. E2 is my previous cumulative frequency. So there's my formula. And I'll just copy that down to all of the blank cells. And your last number should match your total. Okay. All right. If there's questions, let me know. Otherwise, we got one more cumulative relative frequency. Now, there's two ways you can do this one. Okay. Uh, last time, uh, to do this, we took our cumulative frequency and then we divided by $C, $14. Okay. You can do it that way. I'm going to show you a different way this time, and either way is fine. So this one, uh, I'm going to do equals this guy. So these two numbers should be the same. Okay. We use orange now this time. So these two should be the same. Okay. So this time I'm doing it as I'm accumulating my relative frequencies. So I'm going to do the equals this one plus my previous cumulative frequency, like that. Okay. And your last one should always be 100%. Okay. All right. So we did a little bit, this time we did it the same way we did cumulative frequency, where we copied the first relative frequency and then we did our relative frequency plus the previous one. Okay. If you don't like that, you're like, oh, it's stupid. I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to do it the old way. I'm going to click on cumulative frequency divided by my total, but make sure my total has $signs in it. Or you could just type the number 533453, right? Copy that down. Oh, I copied my colors. Ah, don't do that. Yeah, there we go. So the colors was just to show you that certain numbers in here are supposed to be the same every time. These two numbers should be the same. These two numbers should be the same. Total should be the same. So, okay. All right. Last time we missed the graph. We're not going to miss it this time. So, um, the graph we were going to do is we're going to highlight the frequencies. Don't include the total, and then do insert chart column chart. Okay. So back over here in our Google Sheet, I want the frequencies, okay? That's this column, column C. And I'm going to highlight all of these, but not include the total, okay? We'll do insert at the top, chart. There we go, okay? If you don't like column chart, there's pie charts, there's line charts, okay? But column chart's the one we want. So here it is. But it's covering up my stuff. I can't see any of this beautiful work that I did. Okay. So I need to move it. Okay. You can move it off to the left. That's not the left, that's the right. You can move it down. Okay. What was the equation for cumulative relative frequency? There were two different ones. I used so I'll write one down for you. So cumulative relative frequency equals. So uh let's uh it's going to be I'm going to do it this way. It's going to be the uh cumulative frequency divided by the total. Okay. And again, for the total, you can either put $signs around it or you can just type the number. Okay. And I'll show you the actual formula here. Okay. So in cell F2, I did E2 divided by $C, sign 14. So I showed you two different ways to do it. If that's confusing you, I apologize. In math, you'll find that there's often many ways to do things. Okay. And that's the same thing here in statistics. So one of the things I want to point out is we mentioned in the syllabus to not use Chegg okay? Because there are some websites where you can go that they'll like help you with homework or whatever. But if you do that, they might be doing it a different way than what we're learning here in class, and that will A, just confuse you, and B, possibly not get you any points because I'm not looking for the answers. So if you just typed in your answer here, if you just type 233,193, I'm not going to give you, you're going to miss points for that because we're not here to learn what the number is. We're here to learn how to do it. Okay. So that when we, go on to other things, we know how to do this, right? So in math, a lot of times when you take a math class, you're like, when am I ever going to use this stuff? I'm not necessarily teaching you math. I'm teaching you how to solve problems. Okay. In life, you're gonna run into problems all the time. And there's a certain mindset that we try to teach in math on how to solve problems. Okay. It's not memorize formulas, it's not memorize steps. It's, you know, how do I approach this problem? How do I get a solution that makes sense? Okay. So anyway, uh so I do want to see the formulas in your final results. So, okay, so one last thing, and we'll be done, and that is we need to submit this. So I need to share in the upper right. Need to share this with the teacher. That's me. So make sure it's not restricted. Anyone who has the link can actually look at your stuff. Copy the link. Copy the link, and then we go back to Canvas. Scroll to the bottom, web URL, and put in our link that we just copied. Okay. And submit assignment. We got it. Good job, everybody. Cool. Um, all right. And hopefully you get confetti. Yay! It's done. All right. We got that one. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the chapter 2 review. Now that is, if I go back here to home, um, that is not in your here in Canvas. That's in your course pack. So it is on page 276 of your course pack. So go grab that chapter 2 review worksheet. Okay. So most of the worksheets we're going to be doing in Elaine's class. So you've been doing those, you've chapter 2 stuff, chapter 3 stuff. She's going to do some 3.4 or 3.5 stuff tomorrow, hopefully. But the review worksheets, those are mine. Okay. And these are a big deal. These are 25% of your grade. So I'm not going to go through every single question here. But I'm going to give you a big head start on these, okay? And we will hopefully finish them today here in class. We're going to break up into groups and finish it in a little bit here. So, um, okay, so chapter 2 review worksheet, page 276. Okay, if you still need a moment to go get it, because I want you to follow along. Okay, um, I don't want you to have to do this on completely on your own. So. All right. So the following graph shows the demographic makeup by race of the overall U.S. population and the deaths from COVID-19 through June 25th, 2020. Okay. Um, so note this was in the first months, okay? First months of the pandemic in the U.S. before vaccines and treatments were available. Most of the deaths at this point were in New York City and New Orleans. Okay. Okay. Um, all right. Part A. What percent of the US population is black? So here's black. Uh, and I have two numbers though. So I'm going to need to use the legend, which is this right here that says that I have two different colors. The gray is the overall population. The black is how many deaths from COVID. Okay. So the question's not asking anything about COVID. Not asking about deaths, it's just asking what percent of the population. So that's the gray part is the overall population. So my answer is 12.32%. That's too many digits. 12.3 is better. Anyway, all right. Question B. What percent of COVID-19 deaths were Black? Okay, so that's the other bar, 23.1%. Okay. That's super annoying that they have this one has 3 digits and this one has 4 digits. Okay. If I was making this graph, it would be much better if I change this to 12.3 so that everything just has the same number of digits after the decimal. But I didn't make the graph, so part C, what are some reasons such a large disparity between parts A and B exists? So basically, 12% of the population in the US is Black, but you have a much higher percent of deaths. Okay. You would expect that if COVID was affecting everyone equally, that these two numbers would be equal. Okay. If just, the chance that you get infected by COVID is random, then uh, you would just get a very similar number. We have a lot of bias here, is what this is indicating. Okay. We talked about sampling bias, right? And COVID's not necessarily sampling, it's not doing a random sample or a simple random sample, right? Um, but what it's doing is it's causing, oh, what page number? Page 276. Um, Chapter 2 review worksheet. That's what we're looking for. Chapter 2 review worksheet. Um, so uh anyone want to give me an answer here for C? What are some reasons why there's such a large disparity between the two? And this is not in the chart. This is using your common sense, using your real life experience because of locations. That's right. We pointed out a second ago that most of the deaths at this point in the pandemic were in New York and New Orleans. So that's because we have larger Black populations in New York City and New Orleans, right? Another reason why would be lack of access to healthcare, right? The healthcare system in the US is often discriminatory, like where they are putting things, right? So you're not going to find nice hospitals in poor neighborhoods, right? Um, Maybe they can't afford healthcare. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave I'm gonna leave answer D for you guys to work on together in a group. Okay. We'll break up into groups in just a second here. Uh, Next page is page 277. We have a new chart here. Following graph shows how many games NBA players played in the 2019 to 2020 season. Okay. Number of NBA games played. How many players played each of these. So um, now this is a histogram, right? You can see that the bars are touching each other, right? So this class width right here is 5, right? And it's actually goes from 0 to 4.999, right? This one goes 5 to 9.999, right? Okay. This one over here is 65 to 69.9, right? So if someone actually played 70 games, they wouldn't fall into this bar. They'd go into the next one if there was a next. Okay. Um, What's the shape of this distribution? We talked about that on page 45. So skewed left, skewed right, or symmetric. What's your guess? Skewed right, skewed left, or symmetric? We got skewed left. Yeah. If I was at the top of this hill, which way would I want to ski? I'd want to ski to the left, right? It's almost symmetric. If this zero bar was maybe 20 higher, maybe if this zero bar was here, I would call that symmetric. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetric for me to call it symmetric, okay? It just has to be close. Really, skewed left and skewed right um, don't actually necessarily refer to the shape of the graph. They refer to the location of the mean compared to the mode, or sorry, mean compared to the median. Um, so we learned that in chapter 2 that if the mean is on the left of the median, that it's skewed left. So, um, how many players were there in the NBA during the season? That's not in my chart. How would I get that? So 38 players. Yeah, I would need to add them up. 38 players played this many games. I need to add all these numbers up. So I'm not gonna do that here. I'll give you some hints. You need to add up all the bars for question B. Okay. All right. Those ones are pretty easy. We'll skip those. Uh, Question E, what's the upper class limit of the third class? So uh make sure it's not just uh yeah, make sure you don't just use the number, right? It's okay. Question F. Let's talk about question F. Explain why we do not know what is the maximum number of games played in the season by a player. So we do, don't we? Isn't it 70 or no, 69.9? Isn't 69.9? Oh wait, can you play point 0.9 of a game? Can you play half a game? Yeah, you can play half a game. So uh I don't necessarily know if they're using half games or not. Maybe they're using whole games. Sometimes using decimals makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. Like if you ask how many people were in the league, you wouldn't use decimals there. You can't have half of a person, but you can have half of a game. Regardless, that's not the question. The question is, so one of these players played more games than anyone else. How many games did they play? Uh, but we don't know. Why don't we know? It's not 69.9 or 70 or even 69. Those are the upper limit of the class. But anyone who plays 65, 66, 67, 68 and a half games, they will all fall into this bucket. There's 20 players here that fall into this bucket. We don't actually know what those 20 numbers are. They could all be 65. They could all be 69.9. Okay. But they all fall into that bucket. So the reason why is, we know 20 players are in, uh, you know, they played 65 to 69.9 games, but they are binned or grouped or classed, whatever you want to say. So they're all grouped together. So we do not know individual game frequencies, right? That's the problem here. So I lost it. There we go. So we know 20 players are in that bucket, but they're all grouped together, so we don't know individual game frequencies. All right. Okay. Uh, that's that one. Let's look at next page is page 278. The following graph shows the imprisonment rates in the U.S. according to Bureau of Statistics. So, uh, imprisonment rate per 100,000 residents. So, white, black, Hispanic. What type of graph is this? Frequency polygon, time series graph, frequency histogram. Asking you guys, what type of graph is this? Question A, time series. And I know that because my x-axis is years, okay? If your x-axis is time, years, days, weeks, it's probably related to time series, okay? Um, all right, let's skip some of these. All right. Question D, find the absolute difference. Absolute difference means the big number minus the small number, okay? Absolute value means we're never going to have a negative, so that's all that means. So we're just subtracting two numbers. In the values from parts B and C, um, so basically just take whatever's in question B, answer B, whatever you have in answer C and subtract them. Just make sure that the bigger numbers, we don't want any negatives. So I'll let you guys do that one. Um, Same thing for question F, find the absolute difference. Again, make sure you subtract the big number first and the small number second. Okay. Uh, so interpret this value in the context of the situation. So you're basically just comparing B and E. Okay. I don't think there's anything too difficult on this one, so I'm gonna leave that one for you guys in the groups here. Elaine, we want to are you able to help me set up some groups?
Yeah,
I need to myself.
I'm not,
Is it under
I can't see
participants?
the breakout rooms on my side.
Okay.
So,
Where do I
um,
go if I want to see them?
down at the bottom, you should have, if it's not right
Breakout
there,
rooms.
yeah.
I see it. Okay.
And
All
then
right,
you could
cool.
just tell them which one to go to or assign them.
Yeah, I'll sign them.
How-
Okay.
how-
Um, all right. So, last one. Um, okay, so this guy, so this one's a little tricky because this is very similar to the project we just did. Um, so we have class midpoints, relative frequency, cumulative frequency. There is a link to that. So you can't click on the link in your course pack because it's on paper, right? So I can find a copy of the course pack back over here in Canvas, important documents. So here's my course pack. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for this to load, though. It was pretty quick. This is page 279. I'll drop the link for you guys so you don't have to uh, find it in here. Oh, so this is the part that's going to take a million years to load. Okay. While that's loading, I'll get the link for you in a second here. So I just want to point out a couple things. So there's actually some additional questions after you filled in all of these numbers, relative frequency, cumulative frequency, whatever. So how many students kept a journal for the professor? That's easy. That's easy. That's easy. What's the shape of the distribution? That that's so you'll need to do the shape, you'll need to graph the frequency like we did earlier today. Okay. Um, so part F, what percentage of students had between 20 and 29? So um, so here's 20. but it doesn't go 20 to 29. It goes 20 to 24, and then the next one goes 25 to 29. So you're going to need, for question F, you're going to need to add these two buckets together. And you want a percent. So percent is going to be relative frequency.
What's the temperature?
So,
It's not windy, it should be okay.
um, yeah, so you'll add add the relative frequencies for F. Um, for G, how many students had 29 or fewer social interactions? So that would be summing these frequencies up. Yeah. So here you're going to add frequencies. Okay. Percentages relative frequency, 14 or fewer. So you would just add those up. Okay. Yeah. So this one you're going to add relative frequency. Okay. All right. That should be good. That should give you a good head start on this. Page 276. Oh, I went way past it. There it was. 279. Oh, sorry. Okay. And I'll get you the link. Here it is. Oh, Lord, I got it. Look at
Yeah,
that.
Laura put it in already.
Crushing it. All right.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Oh, apparently this is also dealing with StatCrunch. Okay. All right, cool. So, uh, for the last couple 30 minutes, we're going to break into some breakout rooms so that you can finish this chapter 2 review worksheet. I gave you some hints on the difficult ones. Elaine and I are going to be jumping around to the different breakout rooms, making sure that if there's any questions that nobody's stuck on anything. When you get done with that, you'll scan it with your Genius scanner or CAM scanner and submit it for day 4. Uh, if you have extra time, chapter 5 project or chapter 2 project 5, you can work on that in your breakout rooms as well. It's the same steps. It's the same things. It's class midpoints, relative frequencies, cumulative frequencies. We talked about how to do all those earlier. Okay. So, um, another one. Okay. So let me set up some breakout rooms here. Now, so far I haven't really uh learned everyone who works well with who, so I'm kind of uh gonna just bucket you, you know. There we go. Elaine, I'm gonna just put you in room 2 and I'll stay in room 1. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't see the breakout rooms there yet. Do the other
Yeah,
people?
no,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to room 2. Thank you.
Right. Right. Hey, Lisa.